All right, let's go to the linebackers. Barrett Carter, Jeremiah Trotter Jr., two of the very best. Clemson, at least on that first line, is just about as good as anybody in the country.
Yeah, it may be the best linebacker duo in the country. You can absolutely make that argument. There were some bumps in the road with Trotter there at Mike early in the season, but I thought he really settled in well. Would expect him to take a big jump this year. Same with, Barrett Carter just thrived in that role on the weak side when they moved him from Sam to Will in the middle of the season last year. Ton of experience for Clemson there. You got Wade Woodaz there at the Sam. He'll be taking over that role now that Trent Simpson's moved on. Some depth questions here too, though. T.J. Dudley's dismissed. He's no longer on the team. First linebacker off the bench, probably behind Jeremiah Trotter. I think it puts you in a situation where you might have to grow a guy like Kobe McLeod, who redshirted last season, up a little bit faster than maybe you were anticipating. Woodaz is repped inside some too, so you can move him inside when you need to. Might see a little bit more 4-2-5 from Clemson this year than we otherwise would have due to the lack of depth at linebacker. We'll see how it plays out. Biggest thing is keeping those guys healthy, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. and Barrett Carter. Got to keep those guys healthy because just very little experience behind them.
This defense finished 76 last year against the pass. That doesn't tell the whole story. It's just yardage per game. Nate Wiggins, though, is a top cornerback and probably the best at that position, right?
Yeah, I think Nate Wiggins has the chance to have a special kind of season. He kind of got tossed into the fire a little bit, struggled early last year. Everybody remembers that Wake Forest game. He just got torched. He wasn't the only one on the back end of that defense that got torched that day, but he gets picked on a lot about it. But I thought he really grew up from that point to the end of the season and really started to play well over the back half of the season. He's a guy I could see leaving early and entering the NFL draft, having that good of a season this year. I think he's that talented. Question for me, you got Sheridan Jones, who came back for another season on the other side. You got some talented younger guys there too. We'll see how much they're rotated in. Toriano Pride played a lot last year. They just kind of got thrown into the fire because of injuries. And you also had Jaden Lucas, who was another freakish athlete. Didn't play a lot last year, not as much as Pride anyways due to injury. He's fully healthy now. I'm missing some other guys too. Those are four guys right off the top of my head. I expect Clemson's pass defense to take a big jump this year. They kind of they struggled with some injuries last year, had to rely on some inexperience, and it caught up with them, and it bit them at times. I think Mike Reed's one of the best cornerback coaches in the country. I fully expect a rebound season from those guys this year.
Then if we stay in the back seven, we got Jalen Phillips, second on the team, 74 tackles last year. R.J. Mickens had 47 tackles, led the team with 3 picks. Your projection on the safeties?
And Andrew Makuba. Mm-hmm. He got moved around some last year. Makuba, I guess you could say he had a sophomore slump after such a fantastic freshman season. Struggled with injury last year too. Dislocated an elbow early in the season. Forced him to wear this long brace that really affected how he was able to cover guys at times. Not the only injury he suffered either. I think he suffered from a couple more things that were not publicly disclosed. And they moved him around some. He played corner some too. And I think they're going to move him back exclusively to safety this year. And I think that's going to be big for him. I expect a rebound season from him. Another position Clemson's got a lot of depth at. You mentioned R.J. Mickens and Jalen Phillips, two guys that have been around for a long time. Part of the reason why I think this pass defense is going to not be considered the weak link on this defense this year. Let's put it that way.
We got Jason Priester here, allClemsonTigers.com. This is the time to lock it in. We're past all the talking for the most part. We're going to start to get some reports out of fall camp. Lots of previews and otherwise analysis there with Jason. And, of course, recruiting barely never stops. So, again, allClemsonTigers.com with Jason as we get you set for the season here as well. Well, I guess Dabo Sweeney couldn't figure out a way to get another year of eligibility for BT Potter. So he's finally moving on. And that's not necessarily a good thing because he was pretty clutch. Your thoughts about special teams and who are the most likely guys to fill those spots?
Question marks. Big question mark heading into fall camp. The Clemson's got a highly rated kicker on the roster. He redshirted last year. His name's Robert Gunn. Big leg, powerful leg. Kind of struggle with his consistency. Not unusual for a freshman. We'll see if he can, get that a little bit under control in fall camp. There was a kid named Liam Boyd who looked really good in the spring. Might have came out of the spring as the starter had he stayed, but he was a walk-on. With Clemson being over the 85 number, he knew that there was no way he was going to be able to get a scholarship this year, so he transferred out. So we'll see what happens there at kicker. Whether Gunn can lock that job down or maybe some other walk-on wins it out of fall camp. I would expect Gunn to probably be the guy, though. Punter's probably up for debate too. Aiden Swanson, he was up and down last season. Clemson has another punter who redshirted last year, 6'5", 250-pound kid named Jack Smith, another big leg. You go in that facility sometimes and he's just booming them off the roof of that indoor facility. But another guy that struggled with consistency during his first year. I think that might be a battle this spring. Or this fall, I should say. We'll see who comes out of there with that job. I would fully say that Swanson has a leg up at this point, but Jack Smith's he's talented. It's just whether or not he can find that consistency you need in your punter.
But Swanson's got a leg up. We caught that. We caught that one.
No pun intended.
Jason Priester's here, breaking down Clemson football. We appreciate Jason joining us on a regular basis. Get on over there, folks. AllClemsonTigers.com. Check out Jason's work. Well, we're going to reel you back for something else here pretty soon, I'm sure. As soon as we get anything out of fall camp or anything on the recruiting trail, Jason, I'm going to be knocking on your door.
You know what? I want to add one more thing. I forgot to name him. Freshman to watch out for on the back end of that defense, Khalil Barnes. I think he's going to I think he's going to get a lot of early opportunities, and he's going to be in that rotation too. Had a big spring. Kid just looked ready to play. Another freshman corner, Shelton Lewis. He might get some early opportunities too. Should have thrown those guys out there, man. I was drawing a blank on some of those guys for some reason.
Perfect. All right, Jason. Appreciate you.
All right. Appreciate it, Mark.